Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel Microbe Academy. In this video today we are going to discuss about the Protozoa, the general introduction to Protozoa. And Protozoa are unicellular microscopic eukaryotic organisms that belong to the kingdom Protista, and even though they are made up of only a single cell, and they can perform all the essential life activities such as movement, nutrition, respiration, reproduction, and excretion. In this video, we will learn about the general characteristics of protozoa, structure of protozoan cell, classification of protozoa, and some example of medically important protozoa. Now, let's begin in detail. Now, let's break the term protozoa. Here the proto means the primitive and zoa means the animal. As I already mentioned that these are unicellular microscopic eukaryotic organisms belonging to the kingdom Protista. Now where can we find the protozoa? Well, the answer is they live in a freshwater, marine water, soil, and inside the living host is a parasite. So some protozoa are free living while the other cause the disease in the human and animal. Now we know the protozoa are unicellular organisms, meaning the entire body consists of a single cell, and this single cell can perform all the metabolic activities necessary for survival. And they are also eukaryotic, which means they possess a true nucleus with a nuclear membrane and nucleolus. Now let's move to the size. What is the size of protozoa? Okay, the answer is the most of the protozoa are microscopic in a size, and usually the size ranges from 1 to 150 micrometer. However, some species like Blantidium coli are comparatively larger. Protozoa do not possess a true cell wall. Instead, they have a plasma membrane or a flexible covering called a pellicle, which helps to maintain the shape and flexibility of the protozoa. And protozoa move using the specialized locomotory organelles such as pseudopodia, which is a temporary cytoplasmic projection used for the locomotion, and weave-like structure called the flagella, or a short hair-like structure called as a cilia. And some parasite forms do not possess the locomotory organ. Protozoa may show the different mode of nutrition. They may be autotrophic, heterotrophic, holozoic, sporozoic, or parasitic. And most medically important protozoa are parasitic in nature. And respiration and excretion mainly occur through the diffusion across the body surface. And freshwater protozoa contain the contractile vacuoles that helps in the osmoregulation and removal of excess water from the body. And protozoa reproduce by both asexual as well as a sexual method, where the asexual reproduction includes the binary fission, multiple fission, or schizogony, and sexual reproduction is carried out by the syngamy, conjugation, or by the sporogony. And many protozoa form a resistant structure known as a cyst, and this process is known as a encystment. And this cyst helps the protozoa to survive under the unfavorable environmental conditions and aid in the transmission from one host to another host. Okay, now let's move to the structure of protozoan cell. Protozoan cell is structurally complex and functionally complete, and the shape of the protozoan cell may vary, and it may be amoeboid in a shape, oval, elongated, or slipper shape. The structure of the protozoan cell can be divided into the external structure and internal cytoplasmic structure. The cell wall is not present, and the external structure consists of a plasma membrane and a locomotory organelles extending out from the plasma membrane. The plasma membrane is a outer covering that provides the definite shape in some of the protozoa, example Euglena and Trypanosoma. And from the plasma membrane, a whip-like flagella may arise in some of the protozoa like Giardia, Trypanosoma, and numerous short structures called as a cilia may also arises from the outer pellicle membrane of the or a plasma membrane of the protozoan cell. And the inner cytoplasmic structure of the protozoa can be divided into the two parts, that is ectoplasm, which is a outer clear layer, and an inner granular layer called as a endoplasm. The inner granular layer of the protozoan cell consists of a nucleus, a vacuoles, and other cellular organelles like mitochondria, ribosome, Golgi apparatus, and endoplasmic reticulum, etc. As the protozoan cell is a eukaryotic type of the cell, it has a well-defined nucleus. Single or a multiple nucleus are present, and some of the organism like Paramecium shows the nuclear dimorphism, which has two type of nucleus, that is a macronucleus, which is for the vegetative function, and the micronucleus, which is for the reproductive function. And the vacuoles present inside the cytoplasm are of different types. Some is known as a food vacuole, which is a site for the digestion, and the contractile vacuoles, it maintains the osmoregulation within the cell. This is the general structure of the protozoan cell. Okay, now let's move to the classification of protozoa. Protozoan parasites of medical importance has been classified into the kingdom under the kingdom Protista, subkingdom Protozoa, which is further divided into the four phylum, that is Sarcomastygopora, Epicomplexa, Microspora, and Ciliopora. This is the general classification of table of a protozoa, showing the phylum, subphylum, superclass, class, subclasses, order, suborder, and genus. It has a four phylum, that is Sarcomastygopora, Epicomplexa, Ciliopora, Microspora. Now let's discuss each phylum in detail with the example and some general characteristics. Okay, now let's discuss each phylum with their characteristic feature and example. First is phylum Sarcomastygopora. The phylum Sarcomastygopora is divided into the two subphylum based on their mode of locomotion. Here, the sarco means the flesh or a pseudopodia, and mastigo means the whip or a flagella, and pora means the bearer. That means Sarcomastygopora includes the protozoa, which consist of a pseudopodia or a flagella as their locomotory organ. And for it can be divided into two subphylum, and the first one is Sarcodina, which is also called as Rhizopoda. Here the sarcos meaning the flesh or a body, that includes those parasites which have no permanent locomotory organ but move with the aid of temporary prolongations of the body called as a pseudopodia. They show the characteristics amoeboid movement. They have a single nucleus, and cyst formation is common among them. An example includes the Entamoeba histolytica, Entamoeba coli. And the next subphylum is Mastigophora, or it is also known as a flagellates. Here the mastics mean the whip or a flagellum, and include the protozoa which possess the whip-like flagella. Example includes the Trichomonas, Giardia lamblia, Trypanosoma gambiens, Lasmania donovani, etc. The second phylum is phylum Epicomplexa. The phylum Epicomplexa was formerly known as a Sporozoa, and the parasite in this phylum undergo a complex life cycle with alternating sexual and asexual reproductive phases, usually involving the two different hosts. At some stage of their life cycle, they consist of a special structure called the apical complex, which serve as the organ of attachment to the host cell, and locomotion is except in gametes gametes may be motile, and they are obligate intracellular parasites with a complex life cycle consisting of a apical complex and the spore formation. Example includes the Plasmodium species responsible for the cause of the malaria. Similarly, Toxoplasma gondii, etc. are the example of the phylum Epicomplexa. Now the third one is phylum Pseudophora, and these protozoa are motile by means of a cilia which cover their entire body surface, and the only human parasites in this group is a Blantidium coli, which rarely causes dysentery in a human. And these are the most advanced group of the protozoa, having the two types of a nuclei, that is macronuclei and micronuclei, which we have already discussed on the cellular structure of the protozoa, where the macronuclei are for the vegetative function and the micronuclei are for the reproductive function. Example includes the Blantidium coli, Paramecium, etc. And now the fourth phylum is phylum Microspora. This is a highly specialized group. This phylum contains the many minute intracellular protozoan parasites, which frequently cause the disease in an immunodeficient individual and may also cause the illness in a immunocompetent, which is a rare. And the general characteristics they include, they are the obligate intracellular spore forming parasites and extremely microscopic in structure, measuring from 1 to 4 micrometer. They lack the typical mitochondria. Instead, the typical mitochondria, they have mitosomes, and they possess the polar filaments for the host cell penetration, and having a simple life cycle. They can be considered close to the fungi in the modern classification. An example includes the enterocytozoon and encephalitozoon. Okay, now let's just quickly summarize the whole video. The protozoa are microscopic, unicellular, eukaryotic organisms having a diverse structure, mode of locomotion, and life cycle. Some protozoa are harmless, while the other are medically important parasites responsible for cause of the serious disease such as malaria, amoebiasis, giardia, kala-azar, sleeping sickness, etc. And understanding their structure and classification is essential in microbiology, parasitology, and medical science. And thank you for watching this video. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for the more educational microbiology content. Till then, see you in the next video.